Yeah, thumbs up.
Cool. Hi, man.
Hey.
Hey, I'm just curious, but what's got you out here to City Hall, joining me to oppose the Joint Terrorism Task Force? And who are you? What do you guys?
Well, sure. I work with a group called Iraq Veterans Against the War. I also work with a group called Veterans for Peace. And in the past, we've had the FBI persecute us as peace activists. They've infiltrated our groups and sent in provocateurs and spy on us generally. And I'm pretty opposed to that. Like, I don't think it's right for our government, who are just legally, constitutionally trying to change around, addressing our grievances towards them. Yet they send people after us to infiltrate us. So I'm out here trying to prevent the city of Portland from getting a closer relationship with the Joint Terrorism Task Force, which would basically deputize Portland police officers to carry out federal law.
So I was quite disappointed because I was hoping, you know, I have a lot of anxiety about this thing, you know,
Sure.
because I just want it to be over with so I can adjust to having a secret police force in my town or not. So can you give us a little background on what happened? You know, apparently there's so much snow on the ground, you know, that they can't show up, right?
Well, so here's what happened is yesterday at 2 o'clock, Mayor Adams, he made an announcement at his office. It was around 2 p.m., sometime around 1 or 2. And he said, recording this, that we are going to delay the hearings for the Joint Terrorism Task Force because there's probable weather issues, but also that the contract that they were planning on drafting wasn't quite ready yet. So I contacted one of my activist friends who's been helping me plan this, and he says, well, you know, I think there's more to that story there. And I said, what do you mean? And he explains that he believes that what's going on is, and I believe this now too, that instead of the city asking the question, you know, should we join the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the mayor would rather have us comment on an already drafted contract. And unfortunately, that contract was not drafted already, and so in 2 weeks, when the rally is going to be on March 10th at 12:30 p.m. here at City Hall, we'll actually be commenting on a contract, a formalized contract, rather than just the validity of even drafting the contract. So that's the difference. That's what's going on. And they use the excuse that, well, maybe there's some snow that's going to fall, but it's bogus. He's trying to draft this contract and have the city talk about that and not the validity of if we should even draft the contract.
Oh, and they think some people might not come here.
That's what they were saying.
Okay, so I'm out here on the street interviewing more people. Basically, tell the nice folks on YouTube your name if you feel like it, and why do you oppose joining the Joint Terrorism Task Force here in Portland?
My name is Allison, and I'm opposed to the Joint Terrorism Task Force because I value my civil rights, and I'm not okay with our police being connected with the FBI. I'm not okay with wiretaps or, you know, looking into people's personal lives, so, yeah.
So you think it's an infringement on our civil liberties, then?
Yes.
Okay. And would you encourage people to come out and do this? I mean, how's it feel? I mean, do you enjoy activism?
Oh, I love activism. It's, you know, how can you not be active whenever the world's in such chaos, you know? That's kind of how I feel.
Cool. Thanks. So I'm out here still interviewing people about why they oppose rejoining the Joint Terrorism Task Force. Say why you're here.
My name's Elena Melville, and I'm here because I oppose the Joint Terrorism Task Force coming back to Portland. I think that that's definitely a bad move for the people of Portland, the people of Oregon, and for our civil liberties. The FBI has shown that they're more interested in this realm in spying and in perpetuating violations of our civil liberties than they are in actually protecting the rights of people. And I think that we need to stand up and let them know that we don't want the Joint Terrorism Task Force in Portland, that we have enough issues here with police accountability and oversight that we don't need to bring that element into our community.
Awesome. Hey, what do you think of the psychological justification for this whole rejoining the Joint Terrorism Task Force, specifically Mohammed Osman Mohammed's court case? Have you researched any of this?
Yeah, I feel like it's really blatant trickery, and what happened with him was very much entrapment. And what the information that came out when the FBI was arguing for the Joint Terrorism Task Force revealed that there was no real threat with that whole situation. And it's a great example of exactly why we don't want the Joint Terrorism Task Force here. We don't need these types of efforts that are where the FBI is not really investigating, but they're instigating. And yeah, I just find it to be completely counter to intelligence and to good common sense. And it
Sure.
I don't know. To me, when I saw that whole story play out, it was very clear that it was entrapment, and that this was a troubled young man who needed to have access to guidance. And,
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily guidance, but
definitely guidance. I think he needed somebody to help him positively express his anger. There's many ways to express your anger that's not going to lead to violence.
Exactly.
So I think guidance is a perfect way to.
Yeah. What happened was he was guided, but he was guided into a more aggressive and violent realm, and his ideas and thoughts were taken to a level that they didn't need to go. And I don't think they would have gone to if he was left to his own devices.
Something that I find interesting is if you read through some of the FBI's unsworn affidavits, okay, they claim that they were recording every phone conversation with Mohammed Osman Mohammed with multiple recording devices, meaning at least 3, because they would say 2 if it was right. So in the pivotal conversation where they offered him five ways that he could serve Islam, you could make money for charity, or you could participate in sending money to other countries for money, to raise money to help people, or you could become operational. Okay, the FBI claims that somehow they misplaced that pivotal conversation that has to do with his entrapment defense.
Weren't they saying that there was some sort of technical
technical
problem?
difficulty.
Isn't that
the dog ate my homework. Excuse, yes. So that's one of the things that makes me think that he was an unwitting patsy, basically.
Yeah. I think, he was just a kid too. I mean, 19 years old. Come on.
Sure.
And here he's recruited into a fake cell and completely empowered and enabled into a violent and aggressive realm.
Something else too is that they had him build a fake bomb. They helped him build a fake bomb. Now, if he knew how to build a real bomb, he would have been able to know the difference. So that proves that basically he didn't even have the mental capacity to build a bomb on his own in the first place.
Yeah.
So if they build a fake bomb with him, and then he doesn't notice that it's a bunch of, empty 55-gallon drums of plastic.
Right. Well, here we have the FBI too, perpetuating violence, perpetuating terrorism, and actually creating the types of situation that they're supposedly diffusing. So it's really,
they're protecting us from them.
It doesn't make any
themselves.
sense.
Cool.
We don't need that element. We don't need that element in Portland. We don't need that element anywhere in the United States. And we're seeing activists and Muslim and Arab communities being attacked all over the country. And it's, we need to stand up and fight back. Mm-hmm. Our civil liberties are at stake.
Absolutely. And thank you for standing up for my civil liberties.
Just say no.
So I'm conducting more interviews with people out here opposing the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and basically, man, why are you here?
My name's Adam. I work with the Oregon Jericho Movement and Portland Central America Solidarity Committee and several other organizations, and also just as a concerned citizen that I've come out to show my support in opposition to the JTTF. We're out here with signs and we're passing out flyers. We're going to be back out here March 10th to make sure that the city decides not to rejoin the Joint Terrorism Task Force. Portland, Oregon was the first city to drop out in 2005, and so it makes perfect sense that we keep the situation that very way. The reasons that we oppose Joint Terrorism Task Force has a lot of nuanced reasons for that. One of the simple reasons, though, is that we don't believe that we should be spending money, taxpayer money, and resources and whatnot to be having all the different intelligence agencies collaborating with the police and ICE and FBI, Homeland Security and whatnot, because we know very well, historically and contemporarily in the United States, that there's a very, very bad and evil and disgusting track record of human rights violations that have been acted upon by specifically FBI programs doing surveillance and spying, and they've gone after communities of color ever since 9/11, specifically communities that are of the Muslim faith or people of Arab background. That also includes African American communities. The Portland 7 case would be a case in point here in Portland, including the incarceration of political prisoner Patrice Lumumba before.
Awesome. Hey, this is a side issue other than the JTTF, I guess, but you mentioned immigration and customs enforcement, so you provoked me to ask you a question. Have you heard of something called the Endgame Plan?
Endgame Plan?
Yeah. It's an ICE plan. It's a contingency plan for a quote-unquote immigration emergency. It's basically a internment camp system set up.
Right.
Have you heard of this?
I've heard mention of it, so I can't speak to it very well. But what I can generally say, again, is when we talk about ICE collaboration with the local police and we talk about ICE detention centers, that they definitely very much fit into the same discussion that we were just having about the Joint Terrorism Task Force. They play a part in that, which has to do with going after people that are, foreign-born, people of Muslim faith, people of color, and again, further exacerbates the tensions that we have within the country about stereotypes regarding people that are so-called illegal aliens. And when you look at, the history of the United States, it's always been a history of immigration and migration. So it seems ridiculous that we would actually have these kind of different state apparatus set up to go after these people, when in fact, really what would seem logical is that we're not only welcoming people into this country, but helping them to make some transition, especially those folks that are coming from war-torn part of the world and impoverished parts of the world, and they've tried to come to the United States for a different life, but instead many of them are locked up in these ICE detention centers. And again, also relates to the larger issue of the prison industrial complex and mass incarceration in the United States, whereby we have over 2 million people that are locked up in prison. Many of them are specifically people of color, Native American, African American, Latino, Latina, so high rates of black and brown people. And this all definitely relates to ICE detention center because it does have to do with the politics of identity.
Thanks, man.